The women in our church are really nice and they will help you do anything. But when it comes to finding ways to kind of stand up for our faith, it, it's not great, at least in my observation. There's a lot of smiles and there's a lot of niceness, but there's not a lot of defending our faith. So Pew does this research center. We like everybody, but we kind of have this intuitive sense, like other people don't like us, and the research bears it out. Almost no one really actually likes us. They don't trust us. They think that we're sneaky. They think that we're keeping things. They think that we use doublespeak. They think we use words and redefine them in secret and then use words to like soothe them. But we mean to, like, they don't like us and they don't trust us. And I think if you have interacted with other faith groups, you probably picked up on that a tiny bit. Here's the problem is we Latter-day Saints really, really, really want them to like us. If a relationship matters to you, you have to be able to show up in it and not be fake and not lie.
I am all fired up.
Start telling the truth. Don't take one step towards abandoning your faith, and you are going to suffer because of it. And that is an absolute tragedy. Don't take the bait and abandon your faith. That's a hard message.
I think we need to make Bible bashing great again.
The person who sort of introduced the Book of Mormon to me, if he would have just like smiled and demure and like, oh, we're a little different, like I wouldn't be sitting here.
How do you teach how to be combative to somebody who has been a docile puppy for 60 years? This video is brought to you by scripturenotes.com. For a free trial to Scripture Notes, please make sure you check out the link in the description. You say the ladies got to step up? This is amazing.
Yeah, so the sisters in our church are amazing women, right? They will help you with anything. They will bring you food. They will help take care of your kids. They will help plan a funeral. You have no better support system in the entire world than the Relief Society. However, we're really bad at some things. One of them is studying scripture. Absolutely, women defer that to the men, and we're worse off for it. And number two, here's the example I gave in my talk. Women in our church, I absolutely dare you to threaten the children of a faithful Latter-day Saint woman. She will kill you. She will wipe the floor with you.
Yeah.
She will defend her children as the biggest mama bear you ever saw. But she won't do it with the gospel. She won't defend the gospel. She'll smile. She'll say, well, my testimony is that I believe in Jesus Christ. And that's great. And sometimes, honestly, that is the absolute right thing to do. I'm not saying that that's not the right thing to do sometimes, but there are more options that are a little bit more direct that actually could express her faith and her values and what she really believes about Jesus Christ and about our church and why perhaps her beliefs are different than her friend that she's talking to without just having to go to being nice. Women do this in our church because they are trying to be faithful and they think that demurring and just smiling is avoiding contention. What it's actually doing, in my opinion, I'm a mental health therapist. I work with people in relationship problems all the time. People can stay in a relationship while they absolutely exit the relationship. And they do that by not showing up, by not saying what they really think, by smiling and playing nice and not talking about the things that really actually they value. And the women in our church, unfortunately, have gotten into this as a really, really bad habit. Starting to, learn to defend your faith. The study of that is called Apologetics. FAIR is an apologetics organization. The entire FAIR conference was about apologetics. It means a reasonable defense of our faith. And that looks a particular way in like academic conference circles, right? I'm not expecting every woman in our church to come give a talk at FAIR. However, sisters, we could use you. I am saying that if you're talking with somebody you're in relationship with that you actually care about, you actually want them to know you, you want to know them, they're your family member or your neighbor or your friend, you can show up and say how you really actually feel about your faith, defending your faith without it being contentious. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to turn into some yelling dude on the internet. You can do it in the way that women defend faith, which sometimes can look kind of mama bear, but often it can look like, oh gosh, I totally see your point, but also here's how I see it differently, and here's why, and here's what that means to me. That's not contention.
I am absolutely loving this. You have no idea. Like I said before, this is the whole reason why I started the Women of Ward Radio, is because if you're a dude, you can just get scoffed off as like, oh, this is misogyny. Like all of the woke scolds, all of the anti-Mormons, especially the ex-Mormon anti-Mormons that have completely secularized, become leftist secularists. You know what I'm saying? They've so mastered the art of man bad, woman good, don't listen to man, toxic masculinity, so on and so forth, that as a man, you definitely sense, I can only get so far. Women, like, you want equal rights? You got them. We need your help. Like what? Like we are warriors in the battle of ideas, and we recognize we're really good at mortar fire. We're really good at artillery. We're really good at, I don't know, Air Force brigading or whatever you want to call it. But we cannot do, you know, we can't do the naval blockade. We can't do the X, Y, or Z thing. Like, you girls have to do this. And it's, I don't know if it's a cultural thing, if it's complete and total niceness culture, if it's something, you know, like an eternal gender construct that makes it, you know, kind of averse to that kind of contention, as they might call it. I doubt that, because I got to tell you, there's ancient philosophers used to think that chaos and fighting was a feminine thing, not a masculine thing, right?
Yeah.
So
think of the nicest lady in your ward, and then imagine someone doing something to her kids. She will go full warfare on you.
Yeah. So how do we get them out of their seats to actually do this?
I actually have an example.
Okay.
Because I experienced exactly what you said in a specific scenario like 2 weeks ago. We were over to dinner at a lady's house, and you know, she's older. Not like a young person, but older. And I believe it was a family member. She had a family member who had gone I think it was more of the evangelical flavor, so it was doing the whole different Jesus, Joseph Smith, Angel of Light. It sounded like that kind of stuff that they were doing. Yeah. And she's like, this is a family member. So I'm just going to kind of, you know, I know we have differences here. I do believe the Book of Mormon's true, but like, how about we talk about the weather or, you know, something else? And she said she came home and was saying her prayers, and she all of a sudden unexpectedly got a distinct impression that said, you had a chance to defend my restored gospel today, and you did not take that chance. In the future, I want you to take those opportunities and actually defend me, please. And she was like, oh, I thought I was just like what you were saying. I thought that was the way to go. I thought that was the non-contentious route to go. Okay, I'm done with that now. Like, it's time to be serious about this.
I think the number one thing holding back the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the 21st century is our obsession with niceness culture, our absolute golden calf of suburban propriety. We worship at the mother freaking altar of Baal. No, I'm sorry, of niceness culture. And we read the Old Testament and we wonder, man, why are the Jews turning to this Baal again? Like, didn't they know just 20 years ago in the Book of Kings it failed, and 30 years before that it failed, and 25 years before that it failed? Like, there's 15 times in the Old Testament where Baal's back and they're worshiping Baal again, and it doesn't work out for them, so they turn to God, and then as soon as they get rich again, they're back into Baal. And I've sometimes thought, like, are they so, like, they can't just be stupid. Like, why do they keep going back to Baal? And then I met niceness culture in America. And I realized this is our Baal. Our Baal, our golden calf, is a worship of just the proprieties and the niceties of convenience, of just happy discourse and pleasantries. And this is not kindness. We have so absolutely sabotaged and mistaken Christian kindness for suburban niceness. We're incapable of bearing the standard of Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, Jesus Christ, any of these men that we venerate. And I'm like, this will be to our absolute detriment. And a frustrating part of this channel is sometimes like we get treated like the redheaded stepchild of like podcasting and radio programming, like we are anathema to these people. And you ask them and they say why. They're like, oh, well, we think you're like vulgar or crass or this or that. And I'll be like, okay, send me a timestamp. Send me a timestamp where I just like veered into utter banal vulgarities. Like, you know, like where did I just curse up a storm? Where did I just make just some over the top, I don't know, sex joke that was just beyond the pale, right? Like please correct me where I went wrong. And they never can. They always resort to, well, it's kind of like a tone thing.
Yeah. And the thing is, the niceness doesn't work. Pew Research Center shows us the research that says no other religious group likes us.
And we've done an episode on that before, so I think people watching this probably will be pretty familiar with that. There's that cross, and the yellow cross is what we think of other people. We love Catholics. Catholics are awesome. Protestants are pretty good too. Jews are the best thing that ever happened since sliced bread. Atheists, yeah, I mean, they're okay. Yeah. I mean, more than not. And then you go down the list. Protestants are like, these people are absolutely terrible. Atheists are like, these are the worst thing since Hitler. Like, these people are absolutely awful. Yeah. And then I think it's Catholics that are like, we don't like them that much. But yeah. I forget if the Catholics were slightly positive or slightly negative, but that was like the only
group. It's 2%. It's like
it's like margin of error. Yeah.
There are a lot of reasons, I think, and you guys probably know this, for why those numbers are, why groups do not like us. I think part of it is they sense the niceness culture. They sense that that's us being sneaky. We're not saying something. They don't understand. It's, oh gosh, we're trying not to be contentious. We're trying, we'd have to backfill in all of these details, blah, 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 blah. When you're having a conversation with someone and they can sense that you're not saying something, they don't like you. No one likes to feel like they're having information withheld from them. And I think, in general, a lot of people in our church do that in conversation.
So you think it's a misperception of niceness culture by others thinking that somebody choosing to be nice instead of combative, they assume that that's for doublespeak reasons. That's your interpretation of the data.
Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons. I think there's a lot of ways to explain that data, but this is part of it, is that when someone is holding back, that when you're in a conversation with them, you can tell they have something to say and they're not saying it.
That's so interesting, because one of the number one things that people say they love about our channel is the authenticity thereof. Okay, because we're authentic. And two, I view this as actually kind of a generational problem, that all of the technological advances of America post-war have made it so that in every single one of our religious and our cultural and our spiritual institutions, the people that should have tapped out, the people that should have retired, the people that should have gone emeritus 20 years ago didn't. And so all of these are people whose formative years were in the pre-internet era. Yeah. So they live in a completely different, like, are the apostles going to respond to Mike Winger on YouTube? Like, are you really going to see Dallin Oaks give a fiery rebuttal to James White? These people don't know who they are. They don't know that they exist. And their underlings, their junior varsity team, their consultants are 65-year-olds who still can't figure out what two-factor authentication is on the churchofjesuschrist.com YouTube channel. So we're just so many generations removed from what is the everyday reality of young folks. When young folks go to church on Sunday, they get spiritually fed for one really good hour in Sunday school and maybe a half an hour in sacrament meeting, and they get 90 minutes of good religious instruction. And then they go on YouTube for 2 hours every single day as they ingest their news, their cultural, whatever they ingest of pop culture and politics and so on and so forth, which is a deluge of anti-Mormon and anti-religious, 9 hours, 10 hours a week. And those 90 minutes in church that are analog, that all of the older people think are, well, that's enough. Like, that's enough. Cause like at school, like Like teachers are nice people still, right? No, you don't understand. These are freaking secular activists who hate religion and are literally trying to sanitize all of our schools' books. They're building Planned Parenthoods at your grandchildren's high schools. And the second we step up and we say, look, guys, you need to fight back. They're like, oh, no. No, would Jesus fight? Nice. Would Jesus fight?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay, so how do we teach? Like, I feel we need to teach. Oh my gosh, I am so happy to hear this.
I told you you'd like this card.
Yes, like,
I was like, we're going to get her on.
How do you teach how to be combative to somebody who has been a docile puppy for 60 years?
Is it okay if I step in briefly?
Yes.
All right. I have a phrase, and I've used it before on some other episodes, and I was thinking I'd have it be my own episode, but I think I'll just kind of say it along on these episodes. Okay. And that's the phrase, I think we need to make Bible bashing great again. And what I mean by that is I heard this from somebody in a conversation behind me at the fair conference. Like, I think it was even after your talk, essentially was them saying, well, I was talking to this one person, but then they started bringing up, all these Bible things or all these things. And, Bible bashing never works. So I stopped talking to them. And wow. I don't think that, and we hear that so many times, like missionaries practically have that drilled into their heads on their missions, that we all know that it doesn't work. They're set in their ways. Whenever somebody starts pushing back, that's when you just need to leave. And so I say, make Bible bashing great again in a provocative way to prick people's ears, to be like, what the heck is he talking about? This crazy MAGA guy who wants us to yell Bible scriptures at other people. No, I'm just kind of, that's the clickbait for me to say, look, it's not given to you to judge if that person's going to change their mind or not. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to give them the information. So if I know you've heard Galatians 1:8 50 times from people who are not sincere, but maybe this person is. And if they just see you run away when they bring up that verse, maybe, maybe they were out to get you anyways, and no harm, no foul. Maybe they would have responded well. And even if only 5% of the people actually would have a sincere reception to hearing your explanation for that, I think you should still give it anyway, and not do like this whole self-congratulate, Bible bashing doesn't work anyway, so I got out of there. Look at me,
Yeah. So when I joined the church, this was 5 years ago, I graduated from an evangelical undergrad program. I went to divinity school for 4 years. I was ordained and worked for Christian churches most of my entire adult life.
You got your fake divinity degree. Rock on.
A real divinity degree.
Okay, we can argue about that later, but I mean, I don't know if I call it a degree.
You're putting it into practice.
A very good University of Phoenix evangelical, I know lots of scriptures degree.
No, I got a real divinity degree. I got ordained. I worked for churches. When I joined the church, I was probably one of the least likely people to do it. The person who sort of introduced the Book of Mormon to me, if he would have just like smiled in demure and like, we're just a little different, like I wouldn't be sitting here.
So how do we teach this? How do we get this? Like, you have no idea. I'm going to be speaking at the Firm Foundation, right? They invited me to speak. These people are crazy.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, they've reached the bottom of the barrel if you get to Cardinellis, right? But, and I've thought about this and I prayed a lot about this, and I've just been thinking, and the only thing that keeps coming to my mind is just the phrase, no soft targets. Like vulnerability breeds aggression, and the enemies of our church that want our grandchildren to hate their grandparents, they want, like Jonah's family has been horribly hit by this secular wokeism. Now, I mean, I don't want to give away too many details and everything, but like there's family members that refuse to let, other family members meet their nieces and nephews because of this. Like, we've all been touched by this. It's happened in my family. It's happened in everybody's. It's like, it's the freaking Peloponnesian Wars out there, and niceness ain't curing this. And vulnerability is just breeding aggression. And our number one vulnerability as a faith is our freaking obsession with suburban niceness. So like, how you can't teach an old dog new tricks, which has been proven false, by the way, scientifically. Old dogs can learn new tricks. So like, how do you unteach niceness culture and teach, what are we calling it? Make Bible bashing great again? What's worked for you?
So I'm a therapist. I go back to the therapy world for this. A lot of people do this thing of like, I wanted to say something, but I didn't want them to be mad. So I said it in this super tangential way. I didn't want them to know that I hated the food. So I told them it was really great, but maybe they got my message. You know what I mean? Like people think that if they just say things, like they just barely like skim past the truth, that they're being nice, that the other person is just going to get it, that they can mind read somehow and understand, oh gosh, they really didn't like whatever it is. Americans are simultaneously obsessed with how we feel and completely unwilling to say how we actually feel if it could possibly hurt the other person's feeling. So being able to say, like this was not my favorite dinner, or like whatever your example is, start telling the truth. Start saying what you actually think. Don't be mean. Don't be a jerk.
There was
tell the truth.
There was a part of your talk that I really liked that you hit on it here, but I just want to hit on it a little harder, and you can correct me if I'm misrepresenting it, but it's essentially the aspect of saying how you actually feel about stuff or think about stuff, even if it's counter to what the other person might feel or think, is actually a step towards a deeper relationship with them. You start with just like the nice elevator talk, and then it can stay there. And I love that you said, like, sometimes that's where it stays, and that's totally fine. Because if we full on take Cardin's advice, and then anytime somebody on the soccer field, a mom overhears some sort of comment and she turns around and gives them a whole lecture, we're going to look like crazy psycho people, and it's not really going to help. So you selectively choose, and probably when you're at the dinner with your son, that is a time to say something. When you're trying to get all the kids packed up to the car to go to McDonald's after their soccer game on Saturday, maybe that's not the time. But I think you highlighted like 3 phases, which is kind of like the nice talk phase, and then the disagreement phase, and then the respect after understanding disagreement phase. And I think that's what marriage is. Like, something that's kind of nice about marriage is you can have a dinner, and Joy says, how was it? I'm like, that chicken was kind of overcooked, but I really appreciate that you do this and just kind of say it.
If a relationship matters to you, you have to be able to show up in it and not be fake and not lie. And okay, it's a random stranger in the store who said some dumb comment that you overheard, probably let it go. Who cares? If your adult kids have left the church and joined some evangelical church, like that's a minefield of conversation. But staying out of that conversation and never telling them, I actually still think the stuff I taught you when you were little, and here's how it's working for me today. And I respect you still love Jesus. You're going to a church that you like and is working for you, and I respect that.
No, you missed it.
But
they love a different Jesus, the real Jesus, the one that is not our Jesus, and disqualifies us from even being able to show up for this Jesus conversation. So get your Jesus right, Jennifer, and then maybe
right. I had the wrong one.
Yeah. So. Well, what has worked? What has worked? Because I got to tell you, I feel like the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is an aircraft carrier. It is an aircraft carrier that is headed towards irrelevance and obscurity in North America. In North America, it is headed towards irrelevance and obscurity because its helmsman is addicted to, oh, no, not over there because, oh, no, I might piss somebody off. And, oh, no, not over there because, oh, no. We are going in a straight line and we're managing our decline. I mean, we're not pissing anybody off, and there's pensions that must be considered here. And we're literally pulling a RLDS just in a different way, in
North America.
Yeah,
We're
North
going
America.
Gangbusters in other places.
Yeah, there's other places that are not addicted to this that will laugh in your face if you come at the church. Yeah. And they're the African guys that are in our comment section, and we love them, okay? But in regards to the North American church, I have not given up on North America. A lot of people have asked, have the brethren just given up on North America? Because there has been no barn burner speech about, we came close. Russell M. Nelson did the exact opposite, actually, by saying, we need to tone down our dialogue on our rhetoric.
Well, I think we do. like yelling at each other on Twitter is not helping anything.
Why does everybody assume that like,
fair.
but why does everybody assume that the second I say we have to challenge bad ideas, they think I say you should yell at them?
No. I think that's what, I know actually that's what Russell M. Nelson was referring to.
But he did say don't have peace at any price, and that's where we're at.
Yeah. So this is what I took from your talk, Jennifer, is it seems like you can present that, because the niceness culture people are not going to just convince them that that's like, there needs to be this new way, a completely new trick. But if you say, hey, I have a way of deepening your relationship with these people you're trying to be nice to. Oh, really? Tell me about it. We actually
need to start being mean. It's you actually just need to show up. You actually need to be who you are. You actually need to be authentic, and in one sense be real, not hide behind niceness. You can be real and nice. You can say all those things in nice ways. I
think if you present it as like, oh, look, we're managing decline, like we need a rebirth, we need to do all this stuff, and they're like, for what? I like what I'm doing. It's not going to really resonate. Or if you're like, dude, like you did really bad in that argument, I'm going to teach you how to win it next time. They're like, oh, I wasn't trying to. But if you say, hey, look, we have a way that you can develop stronger relationships with these people. Like, oh, okay, tell me about it. You need to tell them what you disagree about more. Huh?
Yeah, you need to be honest.
Here's these psychological principles. Yeah, here's how it actually works. And isn't this how marriage works? Oh, yeah. And so packaging it a different way. And you know, how to win friends and influence people. You got to kind of meet these niceness culture people where they're at. Okay, so Jennifer, I know that you got to go pretty soon, but I need to know two things. First off, you're a family therapist. What do you usually charge an hour? The same $150 and $250 everybody else gets? Just be honest.
Every single therapist charges a variety of prices depending upon if they're taking your insurance or if they're seeing you for private pay, or if they got a soft spot, or they have a hard hour to fill that no one else will take, or all kinds of things. But roughly, I charge $150 an hour. Okay, so in the next 20 minutes, I'm sending you $30. You know what I'm saying? I'm sending you $30, and we're going to straight up, you're going to counsel me and my viewership. All right. You are now, you're on the clock. You are on the clock now. No, I'm kidding. But like, I'm not licensed in the state of California. Yeah, that's funny. Well, okay. So if you like, just walk me through this. I know you got to go in the next like 5 to 10 minutes, but just like, I would love you to just help me make this argument now practical. We've talked about how niceness culture is killing us. We've talked about how chivalry is dead and only, women killed it and only they can resurrect it. That you say women got to step up. That's great. And all of us need to be less propriety. We're worshiping this golden calf of niceness culture. I get all that. Now, how do we convert this high-minded idea that we just convinced our audience of? And I know there's people in the audience that are feeling this and are lapping this up because I review the comments and I know people are smelling what you're stepping in. Okay. How do we convert that into real world? This is where your therapy kicks in, right? So let's just say you, I don't know, you come across a video on your YouTube feed that has said a bunch of garbage about the church. Just recently, famously on Lad Bible TV, Nemo the Mormon, who's, we call him Nemo the Virgin. You do. Yeah, I do. Yes. Okay. You don't. I don't. You're right. So the Lad Bible TV video comes up, or actually just an anti-Mormon video from Mike Winger pops up, and you're starting to see just all the trolling in the comments. The snub noses would tell you, oh, heed them not and walk away, which is the old crap that doesn't work. What do you do? Well, I actually am going to switch from therapist mode to apologist mode. A lot of people don't know what to, they walk away, in part because they're trying to be nice, and in part because they don't even know what to say, because they don't know how to answer the question. They don't know that there's already been tons and tons and tons and tons of work done on whatever topic. I don't care whatever topic some ex-Mormon person brings up. Go on the FAIR website. Go on many other places that will educate you, give you the research that has been done for decades. Go learn some things. If you don't know how to study those kinds of things, get a dictionary. Learn all the big words that the academic people are using. Learn how to understand what they're saying. Learn what apologetics is. Learn how to defend your faith. Make a comment that has some actual backing to it, that has some actual research to it. This is not that hard to do. Okay, and then the second thing is, this is a little bit more therapist mode-y. There's
And I'm glad that you're a faithful therapist that understands both evangelical and LDS Christian arguments here. But there's a lot of therapists that don't. Like, there's a lot of anti-Mormons, especially ex-Mormon, Mormons that have figured out you can leverage the science of therapy and the desire of Mormon leaders from the analog era to have families get along. You can leverage your secularism through therapy into these families. And it's an absolutely cruel abuse of something that I view as being wholly necessary. I wish everybody had a good, solid therapist that they could trust, but that's been abused by by those that would want to trans the kids and break up families for profit, right? So like, what do you do to, let's just say you're in a family that's now part member because 2 of the 6 siblings have left the church and refuse to let your parents even see their grandchildren until you renounce the church because the church is hateful and bigoted and anti-gay and anti-woman and anti-this and that, and they've just drank the woke Kool-Aid. What do you tell that grieving grandmother that wants to see her grandkids and has been nothing but the salt of the earth her entire life and done her best to raise children? What do you tell the brother that wants to approach the other brother and say, look, bro, you are breaking mom's heart? Like, what did she ever do to deserve this? What about wokeism or ex-Mormon, anti-Mormonism is so great that she can't see her kids? Like, how do those 2 people approach each other? That's a prototypical family of 17 of my friends right now.
Yep. Yeah. What I would say to that grandmother is don't take one step towards abandoning your faith, and you are going to suffer because of it. They aren't going to let you see your grandkids. And that is an absolute tragedy. Don't take the bait and abandon your faith. That's a hard message. One of the other talks at Fair was Jeffrey Thane, and he talks about prosperity gospel, right? That if God is so great, he's going to make it work out for me somehow. Well, that isn't necessarily true. If you do the right things, if you follow the principles God has for you, sometimes you still suffer. Sometimes you're still poor. Sometimes you're still sick. Sometimes you still don't see your grandkids. I got married this year. Why did I get married this year? Because last year I got divorced because my husband divorced me because I joined the church, and I wouldn't back out of it.
Jeez.
And we've been married for 28 years. And my choice was give up my faith or get divorced. And I wasn't going to give up my faith. I get it. That's an incredibly hard thing to say to a grandmother. It would be incredibly hard to be that grandmother. Don't give up your faith. Wow. What would I say to the brother? I would say, go have a conversation with your brother. Tell him what he's doing to his mom. See if you can advocate at all. You probably can't. Maybe time will soften things. See if he can go to bat for his family. See what happens. I'm skeptical that it will work. How incredibly tragic. It doesn't have to be that way. Don't let people hold your faith hostage.
Dude, in fact, that's the title of the video. Don't let people hold your faith hostage. Then ... or maybe a tasteful semicolon or colon. Make Bible bashing great again. You know what I'm saying? All right. So, okay. Any final thoughts? Jennifer Roach, I'm so, dude, I am all fired up. We are going to be, can we be besties? Can we be besties? We're going to be friends, you and I. Okay. Any final thoughts? How can people follow you and all that other stuff? But final thoughts, and then how people can follow you. Just hit us. I need to go and just bask in the afterglow of all of this in like 2 minutes. So final thoughts.
Yeah. Final thought is stop hiding, show up in your relationship, show people what you actually think, defend your faith in kind ways, but defend it, sisters, you especially. If you want to follow me, I'm a senior researcher at Fair Latter-day Saints. Most of my stuff gets published through them. And I'm not I don't have a blog. I don't have a YouTube channel. I do have a series of podcasts from Fair from last year covering the entirety of the New Testament through the lens of how do evangelicals and Latter-day Saints talk to each other. So if you want to hear about fake Jesus and the Trinity and all that stuff. I have 52 episodes on it. You can go on the Fair.
No, you got that wrong.
Fair YouTube channel.
It's real Jesus. You got that wrong. It's real Jesus and the fake Trinity.
Real Jesus and the angel of light.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, guys, this is so awesome. Her name is Jennifer Roach Lees. She's large and in charge. She's awesome. You got to check her stuff out. The name of the website is Fair. Used to be Fair Mormon, but now it's Faithful Answers, Informed Responses, right? So fairlatterdaysaint.org, I believe it is. Okay, awesome. You got to check her out. And by the way, you have an open platform here. You have a residency at the University of Ward Radio. Just carte blanche, blank check any day of the week, Jennifer Roach. And guys, if you like what you're seeing, please make sure you check out the website. You can buy a shirt right here. We got to make a Make Bible Bashing Great Again shirt, Luke. We're going to do that. Also, if you're a person of means, please make sure that you consider a generous contribution through Zelle. And as always, for this and more, please make sure you check us out at wardradio.com.
Passion, be about it all action.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. We assume if you made it this far that you liked our content, so please make sure you like this video and you share it with your friends. Now, in order to keep this content flowing freely, we need your help. If you're a person of means, please check us out on Venmo, the Cash App, or Zelle and consider a direct contribution to the channel. Or you could always go to wardradio.com and sign up for our newsletter there and receive all of our latest Ward Radio news articles directly to your inbox. And while you're there, maybe consider purchasing some merch. We have some really cool hats, some really cool shirts, so you can strut your stuff and support the channel that way. Or if you're a kind of person that wants to just help out with some of the equipment in the studio, we have an Amazon wish list linked in the description as well. And don't forget scripturenotes.com. You have to read your scriptures daily, and scripturenotes.com is frankly the coolest way to study your scriptures, and they're a very generous sponsor of this channel. So please consider a free trial with scripturenotes.com. The link to Scripture Notes will also be in the description of this video. Either way, whether you're pressing this little button right here to subscribe to our channel and share it with your friends, or whether you're actually hitting this button right here just to watch another video, we look forward to seeing you in the next program.